Yes, people, welcome back to Chelsea Perspective. Welcome back to another transfer show slash players a review show. And I hope you're all ready for this one. We're taking depth. We'll have an in-depth analysis of each of the summer signings. So hopefully we'll be able to get through the three players who were lined up to analyze their performances at this time. Again, we'll take it one by one. We're starting with the backline, Koulibaly, Fofana, and Cucurella, and then we'll move forward to Aubameyang and other players that we've signed, even the youth players. But we'll talk about Bennacer today. An interesting, again, one for me, and a player I believe would change quite a lot for us if we indeed go ahead and sign him. And thanks to my brother Tebago for bring him up yesterday. And Tebago, how are you doing, bro? Thank you so much for finding the time to join the show. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you, Coach?
Brilliant. I can't complain. I'm doing better. The delay was just due to poor internet connection. I pay for the highest service. Still, I can't get what I'm looking for, but I think I'll find a solution because it can be very disappointing. But that's by the way, anyway. Welcome to the panel. I appreciate you finding time to join again. Let's see who we have in the chat already. Leon Lane, as usual, the captain of the house. This is Blue Morning, Coachella, panel and chat. Blue Morning to you too. And Santiago Munoz says Blue Morning, Coachella, panel and chat. Sent to you, brother. I hope you're doing well. Now, coming back at Tebago, I took my time to go look at this guy. I think he's, he will be the perfect signing for us. Again, lots of solutions. He can play, again, the way he plays, I see him capable of fulfilling the box-to-box role as a DM, if you want. Again, there'd be a hybrid DM, but again, he's capable of reading the game very well. And his tackles are very clean, really. Again, he's one player I'd really like us to sign. You could say if we sign Bennacer alone, he solves quite a lot of problems for us. What do you think, Tebago?
I totally agree with you. And then you always mention something. And normally, Grandpa doesn't like a sitting DM. He likes
doesn't like
sort
traditional DMs. Yeah.
Yes. So he likes a box-to-box players that can play a DM role, but that can move around. And this guy have a lot of energy. I always watch AC Milan, and then if you check the both games he played against AC Milan, he was doing well, especially at Italy. He was doing well, but unfortunately, we beat them 2-0. But again, we can't take his game away from the results. He's a very, very technical player. So hopefully, we can take advantage of the contract situation and snitch him. And as I said, it can solve most of our problem because now at the moment, Kovacic is doing a lot of things for us. And when it's not available, we can see a huge gap. Kovacic is not there. So overall, if we get a chance to sign him, I'll be happy. Are you there, Coach? Seems like you frozen. Oh man. So people on the chat, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let us know how do you feel about a similar midfielder, Bennacer. Do you think it's worth it for Chelsea to
I think
go
he'll be a
after him?
perfect. I think he will be the perfect signing for Graham Potter, given that it doesn't look like he likes to play with traditional DMs. Bennacer has everything. He's again, and something else I've talked about that we don't have since we lost Cesc Fabregas as players who are capable of creating chances from the central area. He's able to do that. Again, and he's able also that is the speed at which he transitions from defending from attacking is just brilliant. And man, I took my time. I said, wow, this guy is a perfect solution. And I like it to look at this here that says Chelsea stepping up. Again, is that Ismail Bennacer's interest with meeting scheduled? Again, I really want this one to happen seriously. I'm not the one to like jump into conclusions, but it took me time. I looked at it again, looked at a couple of his clips, but also remembered how well he played and also watched a replay of one of our games, especially the game at San Siro. He was just brilliant. Even on a bad day for them, you can say he was one of the best standout players, because the difference between him and Kovacic is that I think he can finish better than Kovacic. And I'll look up his numbers in a bit. He can finish. He reads the game better than Kovacic does. I don't think Kovacic will be able to fulfill the role of the traditional DM. Kovacic is always the hybrid of 6 and 8. But for Bennacer, he can fulfill that role and able to, again, I don't know how else to describe it. When I did my research, I was like, wow, this guy is just the solution, really. But do you know how much they again we do you know how much will be spending if eventually Milan decides to sell?
No, at the moment, I don't know how his market value, but what I know, AC Milan tried to give him a new contract, but he changed his agent to Minerola as I think it's Minerola's brother. And then the latest report I had, Chelsea will schedule a meeting with him in January. So hopefully, as them they want ZH, hopefully they give us this player, because at the moment I don't think he's willing to sign the contract. So it's either they let him finish this season and then go with as a free agent, or cash him in. So it's up to them. So hopefully we snitch him, coach, because I love him. He's a very, very technical, good player. He's still young, 24 years old. He can improve us with a lot of things, and then he's got energy. That's what I want. I want a midfielder who have energy, not a midfielder that will always sit and do lazy things. I just want energy in the midfielder.
Yeah, I have to say his assist numbers ain't that great, but what he does defensively, I think he adds to the, again, you could say he improves the Kovacic role if you want to, but I don't think we'll be signing him for the Kovacic role, probably as a DM more importantly, but a hybrid DM really. This is for 2021-2022, 31 games, 2 goals, 1 assist, but he plays really deep. And you can say the main thing he does that marvels me is how clean his tackles are, and how he breaks how good he breaks up the opposition play. That's something I like really. But I wouldn't worry too much about his assist numbers and goals. But I have to say, I think this one he will solve a lot of problems for us, because we've lacked proper protection for our defense whenever N'Golo Kante isn't playing. So he's one player I'd like to see. Let's see what else we have lined up here. We may have to go back to him in a bit if someone else joins the panel. And here we have Declan Rice, and this is from Fabrizio Romano saying, Declan Rice quoting Declan Rice saying, I see my friends who play in the Champions League winning the big trophies. You only get one career, and at the end of your career, you want to look at what you've won. Expectation is for Rice to leave West Ham United. I'm not sure how serious Chelsea interest on the play is. Do you have any idea? Have you heard anything? Or because it's too expensive, even as he's talking about leaving West Ham right now, because that's clearly what he's saying. They're still quoting a very high price, like 70 plus.
Yeah, at the moment his price tag is 70 to 75. And then recently, now if you can check, Jacobs just quoted something like Chelsea are still after Rice, but again, Liverpool and Manchester United also want him, and then he's looking for a Champions League football. But again, I don't think if Chelsea doesn't qualify for Champions League, we can get this kid, because I feel like Chelsea's always his first preference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you made a good point there, because the thing to pay attention to here is Champions League. It says, I see my friends who play in the Champions League. So which means it wouldn't make any sort of sense if he leaves West Ham United and joins Chelsea if we don't get Champions League football. And I'm still not sure about that. The whole thing we've been hearing for a while, how he's close friends with Mason Mount and how he's always wanted to come back to Chelsea. There's no way to guarantee that. If anything, I'd say he would want, because practically, clearly what we've heard is that Chelsea rejected him. Isn't that the case, Tebago? So if really, yeah, go ahead.
You mean in the academy system?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Go ahead.
Unfortunately, due to academy, all the players won't be given a chance to play for the first team. Just like Musiala. Look at Musiala now. He's a good player. He came from Chelsea academy, but at the moment, he's doing well at Bayern. So that's football.
So,
Sometimes
yeah,
it's
I understand that, but wouldn't you say, since whenever people talk about it, they clearly call it rejection. That Chelsea rejected him, and you could say, when you say the most Declan Rice would want to do is to go somewhere else and show Chelsea what they're missing, because nobody, again, forget the nonsense. I've been saying this. That's 3 years now, or 2 years plus. We've been talking about how he wants to join Chelsea and all that nonsense. I really do not think that's the case. But if he comes, I'll support him. He's a player. He's a good player, but I don't think he's a solution to our problem right now. I'd have to say that. I don't think, to me, I don't think he's, you could say, I honestly do not think, you could say, he's the guy that provides that proper protection that we need for our defense when N'Golo Kante isn't playing. But more importantly, even if that's the case, even if Declan Rice really wants to come back to Chelsea Football Club, then we must pay attention to this comment here, that he sees all his friends are playing Champions League football. And yeah, him coming to us is not going to happen if we're not going to secure Champions League football. And clearly, there are interests from other clubs. To me, I believe Manchester United would rather have him have a pairing of him and Casemiro than a pairing of Casemiro and a Fred. But truly, yeah, the record of Fred and Casemiro for Brazil is something that probably Man United will also consider. But they're a big club; they can also rotate. But I get your point. Quickly, let me catch up with the chat. I'm going to come back to Roger and get what he thinks about the situation, even if we're looking to sign him, what this comment really means, including the two words sentence, the two words Champions League, or you could say the competition Champions League, embedded in that statement there that Fabrizio Romano is quoting. So let's see what we have here. Santiago Munoz, I've said hello to you and to my brother. Again, Steve Charles, big up, nice to see you here. I hope you're doing well. I'm not sure what's slowing down my screen again. I think the internet is faster, I'm seeing. Again, here we go. Welcome back to the show. Again, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you keeping in touch when I told you I wasn't feeling well. Again, much love from here. Let's see what else we have. I am really not sure what's slowing down my screen here. I'm going to try to fix it. Says, let's see. Like the stream, people. We have 15 likes. You can be doing better than that if you haven't. Take a second to drop a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Rice is close. Okay, Rice is close friends with Mason and Chalobah, so he definitely would do anything to play with them at Chelsea, even if we are out of top four. Tip Salifa, I get that argument, but you cannot discount the fact again that Chelsea rejected him when he was a kid. Usually for humans, what they want to show is that show you what you're missing. Yeah, but we don't know. There's no way to tell whether really he wants to come back to Chelsea or whether he wants to go to some other club. To me, I'd say, let me just put it this way: I'm not the manager. He's not a player I like that much. But if the manager wants him, I will support him. He's a good player overall. It's as simple as that. But I get your argument. Which midfielder would be a great addition? Rice, Enzo, Bennacer, Alvarez. I say, from what I've seen so far, again, the better player of all the names you've mentioned is Bennacer himself. Again, like I've talked about him in a bit, and that's from Alpha Lele and Tombele. Nice, thanks so much. Nice seeing you here, and also thanks for finding the time to join the show. And I'll come back to that. Here we have also, let me see the comments. Adam, my screen is really frustrating right now. Let me see if I shut down some of this windows. It will help. Bennacer would be a dream because he's a Jorginho who can actually defend and run. You could say that, but I don't think he'd be able to fulfill the Jorginho role. Is I haven't seen his capability get, because what makes Jorginho unique is his ability to control the tempo of the game. To dictate the way the game is played, no matter who we're playing against. On this day, he's capable of doing that. The only problem is Arsenal is in for him, and he's the academy boy, so we don't stand a chance. Oh, I didn't know that. Tebago, did you know that?
Not at all at the moment.
Wow, I did not. That's quite some information there. I honestly didn't know he was an academy. He was at the Arsenal Academy. But that's by the way. Anyway, we move on. And big up to everyone. Big up to Steve Chelsea. Says again, hello Steve. It's great to be back after some time of football streams. Yeah, but thank you so much, guys, for finding the time to join the show. Let me see what we have here again. I still don't think needs Rice right now. Again, I am not thinking about him right now. I think we can find someone else. It depends on Potter really. And again, if Bennacer is available, I say let's forget about Rice, and I think we'd get Bennacer for a cheaper price, really, nearly twice as much as how much we'd be paying if we really want to go for Rice. Let me come back to you straight away. Hopefully, you're not going to be biased. Roger, how are you doing, brother?
Good afternoon. Good morning.
Good afternoon to you too, brother. Thanks so much for finding the time to join the show. So straight away for you, have you done any research on Bennacer?
No.
Okay, let's talk about Rice straight away. What do you think? Considering this comment on the screen and considering how poorly we've been playing, and again the possibility of us getting top four, even if he wants to join us, do you read a problem from this statement, really?
No, it can be interpreted many ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're right what you were saying. A lot of people, players, I should say, want to prove that their previous club they played for, especially when they've been cut or didn't extend their contract, they wish to prove them wrong. But not all players have that mindset. So it's pure speculation. If he does have a comfort zone here, Rice, maybe he likes it. Maybe he wants to return. Maybe he doesn't. You know, only he will know, or his immediate circle of friends and family. So I can't speculate on that. But I understand the logic, though. But that doesn't mean that he won't return, even if we don't make the top four, because he's got a huge comfort zone playing here historically. But as you said, he may wish to prove Chelsea wrong for cutting him. One doesn't.
But there's
know.
no telling what the case is for him.
No, exactly. I suspect, if I have to choose, I suspect. I understand business is business. He'll get top dollar wherever he goes, I suspect. But I believe there's a strong possibility, especially since, from what I've heard and read, that his price tag is being reduced to 70 million, give or take. So, it takes all three parties to decide, to agree. But I suspect that there's a good chance he will come to Chelsea if they agree.
Let me ask you, do you want him at Chelsea, and do you think he fits into the way Potter likes to play?
So I haven't been a huge fan of Rice historically, but the more I've been watching him play lately, the last year or so, he's growing on me. You know, he's not bad, coach. I don't.
No, I never said he's a bad player.
No.
Again, my argument was even more strong under Thomas Tuchel, because if you pay attention to the way Thomas Tuchel likes to play, even Graham Potter, because you could say both coaches have so much in common. A flexibility in the midfield area is very critical to them, and that's the aspect. One thing I don't think Rice has, that flexibility to be able to, you could say, should I say, play the hybrid role of 6 and 8 whenever needed, or to I don't know how else to phrase it, but I know you understand.
No, I get it.
Quite clearly, but go ahead.
I do indeed. Yeah. So I've seen him historically play that role where he can defend well, either in a single or a double pivot, and or bring the ball forward with him. I've seen him do it for England in this World Cup, where he's received the ball and come forward, to progress the ball forward. I believe he has that ability. I've seen him do it. So I have no qualms about that. Is he a prototypical box-to-box? Not per se. And you're right, Tuchel and Potter are very similar in their approaches and their styles. I get that. I see that. And so a traditional, quote unquote, defensive midfielder is not usually in their playbook. But I think he would add especially if we do play with a back four more predominantly, if we trend that way, even though historically Potter, I think it was like 64% of the time last year with Brighton, he chose a back three. But if he does choose to go that way to fit all the offensive weapons we have, and you do have a single pivot, even though he could be flexible, he would add a serious degree of defense to that layer, I believe. I really do. Does he have his deficiencies? Yes. There are very few players.
Oh, no player is perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
No player is perfect. Again, if you're watching
Jorginho.
Yeah, that is if you ask me, right? It's near immaculate. Again, if you're watching, if you haven't, take a second to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, to help us reach a wider audience. And the more people have here, the more fun the show will be. Again, this is Liam Lane saying, when you see Tyler Adams playing Rice and Bellingham off the park, it puts big question mark over both of them. And you can say, for me, Tyler Adams is actually more dynamic. And dynamism is something, probably is that thing that is, you could say, making me be a bit reluctant and saying I want Rice at Chelsea, really. He doesn't
can I ask
have
you a
that
question? How many times have you watched that game, the England-US game?
No, I haven't watched it again, really.
I did.
There's only one World Cup game that I've watched like twice or so. I'm not sure. I don't remember
England's
which one
first
actually.
Game?
No, but I get. Here's the thing. Let me make my point clear.
Okay, England's third game.
Yeah. So for me, again, I'd say now, if we're adding Tyler Adams to that list of potential traditional DMs, or let me say players so capable of protecting the defense properly, players so capable of reading the game well and breaking up opposition play. If we're adding Tyler Adams to that list, he's just the youngest. If we're looking for a long-term project, I say go for him. But for experience, you could say a better dribbler too, and maybe a better creator. I think Bennacer is the man. Tyler Adams, maybe if you want just a typical destroyer, not so much again in terms of passing ability. Maybe I haven't paid attention to that yet. Then you go for Adams. Tebago, what do you think, really?
What about Chavez, the Mexico guy? He played yesterday against South.
Wasn't that against
Saudi Arabia?
Yeah. And you're judging from that single game?
No, I've just watched a few. After that game, I've done my research about him. But again, it doesn't have a lot of assists. Maybe it's because sometimes, like Jorginho, he can make forward passes, but again, he can get few assists because of our takers not being clinical. But what I've loved yesterday about him, every time he got the ball, he just look forward and make a forward pass. That's what we want. I hate it most of the time when we make so much backwards passes or sideways back passes. But again, from our list now at the moment, I think Bennacer fits very well into what we want to play. And then if, for example, Rice at the moment doesn't fit how Graham Potter plays. But again, it's up to the manager if he wants Rice or not. But if Chelsea are going to bid for him, regardless whether we qualify for the Champions League or not, I think Rice will come to Chelsea.
Wow. Okay, that's surprising to me. But again, I'd rather us get Bennacer or Tyler Adams. I know. Again, let me say the English lawyer will probably be saying because I'm American, but it's a good thing you're English American. So,
but Tyler Adams just signed a new contract. At least, is his first season, right? At Leeds
yeah,
United.
to them, probably that's a security. It's a security measure that if they're gonna let him go, it would have to be for a lot again for a sizable fee. That's how I see it. Declan Rice will not be a bad addition to our club, but let's see what happens. If the manager wants him, I'll support him. He's very unique in terms of, again, look at one thing that I know he's capable of doing. He's capable of playing as a center half. He's also capable of, that you could say he has that ability to, if we're being facing a counter, again, from the opponent, he can slot in seamlessly into that center half role and then fulfill that role very well, which means to me, it's a plus really to have. But
and he's a leader also.
He's a born leader. That's one thing too. But yeah, we'll see what happens if the club wants him. I can't blow again. Who am I to blow against the wind? Even if I try, I wouldn't make any difference. Here we have again the US midfield opened up England's midfield of Rice, Mount, Bellingham. That doesn't alarm you. Maybe look at someone else. Here's the thing, Kishan, I don't want to start anything that will, pit me against Roger here. I just called him the English lawyer. He will find the big words, some of them you haven't heard before, to describe why that wasn't the case on that day, really. And he'll start by letting you know that Rice played as a single pivot. But even that alone singles out Rice, because that is the guy we're looking at. First name, the guy we have, again, you could say the chance of getting, really. Bellingham is a difficult one. Is it possible? It's possible. We'll have to pay something out of this world because there are other clubs who are interested also. I don't know if you want to add anything or should I move on, Roger?
No. I want to add something. Because seriously, you just asked Tebago, why are you basing something on one game? But you're doing the same thing. I didn't. I did.
Do you see why I call you a lawyer?
Are you not? Order.
Tebago, did you see what he did to me now? Tebago, you see what he did to me? Really?
Yeah.
Look, that game, whether it comes down to the manager's preferred approach to the game, whether it comes down to the player's application or the player's performance, it's still telling, really.
Yeah.
How poor the England midfield was on that day is still telling.
Yeah.
So actually, but go ahead with what you were saying.
Actually, let's be honest. You can say that fundamentally speaking, the whole team for the most part was quite poor, with the exception of Maguire. That they
Maguire becomes prime Thiago Silva at the World Cup.
Yeah, he looked like Thiago. I'm like, Thiago, you English? Because seriously, it's like the team was flat. And I understand that the English aren't used to playing in this humidity. I get that. So they played the same 11, not as an excuse. I get it. 4 days apart. I get it. However, I'm under the strong impression that England showed up somewhat arrogantly, you might say, for underestimating America, looking down, thinking...
because the truth remains on paper, I shouldn't even be close.
Yeah, I think there's a degree of that, even though one would hope that they don't take that approach. But it's human nature. Do you understand? Because let's face it, this isn't America's number one sport. It's baseball and basketball and American football. Soccer, even though it's played more than any other sport up to college, when it comes to professional levels, it's usually a second or third choice at best. So, it's Britain or, most of Europe's number one sport. So, maybe they took that approach. But having said that, they just looked flat. They looked leggy and they looked flat. They didn't look like they had played in the first game and the third game, So honestly, you can't listen, you're looking at 90 minutes, you're going to extrapolate and base an idea based on that sampling size. You know, it's, I don't know. I think that's not a, and to be honest with you, yes, I thought the Americans, they brought energy and they played with purpose.
And no, and you knew
could
that
see
was
that.
going to
I
happen
think they
before
played-
time, really.
Yeah, because in 2010, that's what the Americans did also, you know. But honestly, I wasn't even worried about them scoring. I just didn't feel that at any moment in that game that we would concede a goal. And I never feel that way. I just didn't. I think that going forward, because of the youth also, that's a factor for America. They have a very young team, the third youngest in the tournament. And you don't have too many clinical, if at all, players. You don't have a true number 9 of any noteworthy worldwide. Do you understand? So, and I think that's going to be a problem for America going forward. I really do.
No, it comes with the age. Usually when you have a very young team like this,
well, but then again, hold on. England had Michael Owens and what's his name, the Man United. They were 17 and 18, and they hit the ground running at the European
Did they win the World Cup?
No, but they hit but did you see what they did? They both broke their metatarsals in their first tournament when they were 17, 18 together, like 2 matches apart. This is like, I can't remember, 2004, the European Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? Okay. Rooney and Michael Owen. So, and these are world-class players. Would you not agree?
I do. I do agree with you. Yeah, I do agree with you.
They were very young, and Michael Owen turned out to be a great player. So did Rooney. You know, so but I do agree though, because a player doesn't reach his or her potential till, shall we say, late mid-20s at best. So I agree, but there are exceptions to that rule, like Pele, for instance. He scored in the World Cup in 17? But no, I get it, But yeah, to say that that Adams, you know, dominate. No, I don't subscribe to that theory. I really don't, because
I knew before I said it. Let's just move on. Let me catch up with the chat. I'll come back again. We'll have quite a lot, and we didn't start early because I was trying to sort out the internet connection issue. Kishon here says, I see Liverpool getting Rice or Bellingham. I'm not sure about their interest, but if anyone, I think they're more interested in Bellingham than Rice. Even again, the club that I've heard that are interested in Rice again is Manchester United. It has always been the case, but let's see. But they're also equally, you could say, I don't know if it'd be right to say they have enough numbers in that area. No, I think not really. They don't really. But let's see what happens.
Coach,
yeah.
May I ask, money aside, would you want Chelsea to acquire Bellingham if he wants to come? If we can convince him to come, would you want him?
Yeah, I would want him because he has the attributes, to make a difference in our team, really. But where would he play? That's where I'm not sure yet. But I'm not the manager. If eventually Chelsea decides they want him and pay the money, probably the manager have looked at him and said, okay, I can make good use of him. But there's no talent right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Says the Rice already proved Chelsea wrong by them wanting him every year. And how do we really know that Chelsea wanted him every year? But if that is in fact the case, then he's proved them wrong. So that's a delicious comment, by the way, and I like that because he makes a perfect sense. The introduction of Silva massively improved the position of Rudiger, Reece, and Christensen. So I believe that Rice, under Jorginho's guidance, would help improve his dictating of the game. I think there will be probably a clash of leadership there. I don't know if that's a better term for it. Because Jorginho likes to lead whenever he's in the midfield area. Same thing, it comes naturally to Rice himself, but we don't know. Again, that's the list of my problems. My point is, if the manager wants him, let's get him. It's as simple as that. Rice is good, but overrated, just like the other English players. You must not be English too. That's usually a common thing you hear from Chelsea fans who are not English, and I get the argument and why that is the case. But I don't think Rice is overrated. I think he's a fine player. What I'm considering is, will he fit into how the manager wants to play? Because the truth remains, I don't care what anybody tells me. The rumors then was that Thomas Tuchel loves Rice. He wants Rice. Had that been the case, then Rice would have been one of the first players to arrive at the club during the summer transfer window. So, yeah. So, but I'm not going to get into that. Please, if you're watching, if you haven't, take a second to drop a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, to help us reach more people. We have 34 people watching and we have 22 likes. We can do better than that. Thank you so much, guys. Here again, if Kante learned how to be an offensive destroyer, making runs into the box, then Rice can also learn how to ball a play and dictate a tempo of games. Dictating the tempo of a game is a different thing altogether. And by the way, Kante did not learn to be an offensive player. Kante traditionally is actually an 8. So Kante playing deep, it's because of his, that's the engine in the guy as a player and his ability to read the game, his ability to break up opposition play. You can say those were one of the reasons why managers started playing him deep all the time. But on the side, we were able to see that he's actually an offensive-minded player, and he's actually a fine creator. But the stereotype is, yeah, it's dangerous, really.
But before
a lot of people, sorry?
But before Sarri, wasn't he primarily a box-to-box tackling machine?
Not really. Not really. He played deeper than most players in the team, especially under Antonio Conte. He was a security for the back three.
Yeah, then Sarri brought him in as a number 8 on the right side. Yeah.
Yeah. And he, why you could say at Chelsea, that you could say we saw the best of him, because his task, even as he was playing for the forward or closer to the final third, he still does a lot of work in the midfield area. You could say Sarri was the man that ran that engine to the ground. Yeah, because the truth remains,
I think everyone did.
Yeah, but it's especially true on that, because he did a lot of running for Sarri.
Yeah, I think he did.
He wasn't playing deep. Yeah, he wasn't playing deep, but he was still the security for the defense, even from where he was playing. So yeah, but that's, by the way, really, we'll move on from it. So Kante didn't learn how to be an offensive player. That has always been his thing. It just manages the stereotype of given his capabilities. Yes, please, as we join the live, let's remember to like the stream, one click, and it takes half a second to do so. And I'll put up a poll in a bit to ask you which of these, again, midfield, you could say defensively minded players, not Jude Bellingham, not included. He's not the defensive minded player. Although, again, it's easy for people to start saying, seeing him as one. Again, let me see what else we have here. Rice is the DM version of Mason Mount. In what sense? I'm sensing something not good here, but I really want to hear from you, Thomas Bays. You say, if you're saying that Rice, again, is a DM version of Mason Mount, can you elaborate a bit? I really want to understand what you mean by that, because I'm confused, really. Let me see what we have here next. Sorry, it's a bit slow. I think it's from the service itself. They're adding a lot of new features. I just know Liverpool is desperate for a midfield that they are really, and probably going to be linked to all of them. And they've done quite well in the last 5, 6, how many years now? I'm not sure. But again, you can say they've been one of the best teams in England. Rice is a big fish in a small pond at West Ham. So again, so of course, again, he's going to look so much better than his teammates. He's on nation team with his peers and hasn't produced. Tebago, what do you think about this comment?
It's Rice. What? Rice is a small
like Rice is looking like. Let me say, correct me if that's the interpretation. He's looking like he's that good because he's playing in a team that isn't that good. Correct me if I'm wrong, Roger. Isn't that what you're reading from this? It says Rice is a big fish in a small pond at West Ham. Yeah, so of course he's gonna look so much better. Yeah, it's the same thing. He's looking good because he's playing at West Ham. But had it been like Liverpool, Chelsea, or Manchester United, he won't be standing. His displays won't be being that look that pronounced or make him look that good. What do you think? Do you think that's the case, really?
Yeah, I really agree with Kishon. Rice is a good player, but again, at West Ham is not playing around with most of the big players. So if you come to a club like Chelsea, is going to play with big players, so that will improve him. That will motivate him to do well. So yeah,
But you know what
Yeah.
though? He played on the England's national team, which is what Keyshawn is saying. And he played for, I think, each game. I don't think he missed a game in the 7 games in the European Championship. And we were the best defense in the whole competition. Equal. I think it was just Italy and us, or another team and us, that conceded the
you
least
looked at the
amount of
number, and does the
goals.
number say again the reason you had a very good defensive display was down to him being able to protect the
No,
defense very well?
but he's part of it, sir. He's part. You listen. Let's be honest. England's, even though Maguire does play well for England, I concede that. But let's be honest here. Our back line, England, is considered, in all likelihood, our weakest point, our weakest line in the team. I think that's the general consensus. So that's not me saying anything outlandish. And to have that, you must have a relative good security blanket in front of you. And I believe England has produced that with, what's his name? Rice and, I forgot his name. The chap that has an injury and is just returning. He was at Man City. He's just got purchased by Man City. Phillips.
Felix,
Phillips.
former Leeds United.
Yeah, but then moved to City. Yeah, so do you understand? It's that they provided a good double pivot. They really did. So that's what I'm saying. I'm being analytical here. So I believe and they played some pretty good teams, you know. So look, we beat Germany. We drew with Italy. They technically beat us on penalties. So you can't say that. And when you take into consideration our back line is not our strength, then I think that statement doesn't hold water. Does that make
All right,
sense?
let me catch up with the chat again. It says here again, thank you for that contribution. Keishon, I appreciate that. Anything else to address here? Let's see. It says this one says, why is this taking it too much time to show? They run around a lot and work hard. Okay, a lot of work hard. Again, that's important to managers as well. But yeah, but like the Blue Tiffy game said yesterday, I don't remember what he said exactly, but that's by the way. We'll move on from that. Roger says again, Roger, I'd like again, like you don't think Adams dominated midfield? You were watching a different game to me.
Yeah, you say that. So you're taking me out of context. Whoever said that, Liam, I didn't say that. I said that it wasn't just. It wasn't multiple sitting defenders. It was primarily Rice, you know, or they alternated, you know, and America played a 4-4-2, if I'm not mistaken. So primarily, and I know it morphed, shall we say. So it's, but then again, it's like, how did Adams do in his other 2 games? You know, did they?
In all of them, he's been brilliant, really. He's been one of the US standout players in all the games they've played so far. Without him, they'd have no midfield and proper protection for their defense. Again, but that's by the way. Anyway, we're not here to argue that. But you take your fight to Liam Lane. Anthony Gordon.
You know what? You conceded a goal against Wales, okay, and we didn't.
Oh, okay, yeah. If you want to go, what about reason? Yeah, again. Kashan says Anthony Gordon was about again to get 60 million, and Pulisic is being sold for 35 million. And again, we'll get to that in a bit. That's something that just doesn't make any sort of sense. Maybe the whole thing comes down to Pulisic wanting to leave, because when a player wants to leave, that cuts the price down significantly. Gordon was going to come play right wing back on the Thomas Tuchel. I don't think that was the case anyway. Again, he's getting a stick from everybody right now. Oliver T03 says Kante didn't learn to be offensive. He still has no final pass in the offensive third.
No,
Okay, I'm not. There's something again. I disagree with that respectfully. I think he's a fine creator, but because probably how many times has he really played in the final third? Really, for us to say, can we like going scientific like Roger? He would say, do we have enough sample size to prove that? I don't think we have enough sample size to prove that. Again, in terms of where he's played for Chelsea, he's played predominantly in the deeper. So it doesn't make sense to argue that really. But I get what you're saying. But that's by the way. Let's see what we have here. Says again. This thing it loads slowly, and I don't like that. Again, he played as an 8 for Leicester City. Drinkwater played as the lone DM, but still predominantly he did a lot of defensive work for them. That's the thing. He did a lot of, again, even no matter where he started on the pitch for what's that man, the Italian, the Tinker Man. When no matter where he started on the pitch for him, he still played. Again, he did a lot of defensive work for them. He was that protection for Drinkwater, really. He played as an 8, but not really a traditional 8 approach. I want to say maybe the cover 6 role, if you want a hybrid of 8 and 6. Kante was basically a box-to-box midfielder. Yeah. Maybe that's the better term for it, really.
Yeah.
But that's what he was. He was never a DM, really. It says again, I don't know West Ham have got a lot better in the past year. Again, I hate saying it as a Chelsea fan, but they have exceptionally under David Moyes. Again, you could say the most important thing is that they play as a unit, even better than us under Thomas Tuchel. They play as a unit. They play as a team. They were more together than us, except for the run up to the Champions League and after winning the Champions League and all that. But they've been, you could say, I think they have a good team right now. Luke Shaw had a great Euro. I didn't pay attention to him that much, but I think he did well.
Going forward, not defensively.
Yeah, he's not the best defensively. He's no different from Alexander Arnold. Offensively, they're great, but defensively, not the best. I think Calvin Phillips is underrated. To be honest, I honestly rate him highly. I think you could say the same to any player that.
Well, actually, he was named England's Player of the Year last year for the national team. So yeah. I don't think he's underrated. I think he's appreciated.
I think he is really. He's underappreciated, really. I have to be honest with you. He's
really?
Underappreciated. Yeah. How many times did you hear people talk about it? How many times did you hear Chelsea fans say, "Go sign him"? That's the thing. I probably took a lot of scouting work for Man City for Pep to say that's the guy I want, really. Yeah, I think he's underrated.
No,
forget. Yeah, the prize. Go ahead.
I think underrated may be a strong term. Maybe not fully appreciated. I'm not sure how to term it, but
did you see Tebago? Did you see what I said about again? Roger bringing out big words or trying to reconstruct sentences.
Sorry.
No, that's fine, brother. I enjoy it. And the Bluetooth game says, "Did someone call my name?" I don't know. You asked those in the chat. Did I? And it was I that called his name, really. Let me see what we have here. Adams sat as a single DM, and England played a double pivot. But Roger said it was more like a 4-1-4-1 formation, not really a single pivot. But here's the thing: the point is, it even looks worse if he had to face Rice alone, because the whole blame falls on him. But I have to say, I think it's a tactical approach overall, but that's not taking away from how well Adams did on that day, because he didn't deal with just Rice, Mount.
So would you rather have Adams play for Chelsea than Rice? I know he's like 3 years younger. I get it. The age.
I would say yes. And why do I say yes? Like I say, dynamism. Like I said before,
it's important.
It's that one element that's making me shy away from Rice.
I wouldn't say Rice isn't multi-dimensional. He has multiple facets to his game. But I see what you're saying. I really do. And plus, don't forget, Adams is quite a bit younger. That does make a difference too, because he has a lot more room to grow. I be honest. Do you think Adams has reached his potential? I don't think so.
He hasn't, but look what he's capable of doing at this rate, at this age.
I'm making your point, sir. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, you say, are you? You're probably going to get me to implicate myself, and then you say you see.
This is objection. You want to know? No. I'm being honest here. I'm being objective. I would always say, when you're right and when you have good points and valid points, and when you don't. And it's a valid point. It's his youth is a huge factor, in my opinion, anyway. Because
and go ahead.
There's a strong possibility Rice has probably, if not, has reached his potential or is close to it. Well, I don't think Adams is. So I get it. Yeah, that's a valid point. Because
go ahead if you're still saying something.
Is Rice 26, correct? Give or take. So
I don't remember. I'm not sure, but go ahead.
And Adams doesn't have a history of injuries or anything, does he? He's always healthy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But age is still on his side, so that's we have to be for being factual here. Again, and as far as I remember, he won the ball in the midfield, the battle in the midfield by countryman. No, even eye test says that. You don't even need to look at numbers.
Hey, can I ask you a question? Do you think Adams will end up, because like post World Cup each 4 years, a lot of players get bought, and I can see Adams coming to a big team. I really can.
Yeah, and that's why you could say Leeds United they were aware of that. That's why they've given him a new contract.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think Tebago said that. So if they did that, they were
they signed him from Leipzig. They signed him from Leipzig.
How long ago?
This is his first season.
Yes.
He was a replacement for what's his name? The English
Kevin Phillips.
Kevin Phillips, yeah.
Oh, so this is his first year in Leeds.
Yeah. So probably they don't need to give him a new contract. If you want him from them, you have to pay something out of this world for them to let him go.
Yeah, I get it. I didn't know. I thought he played 1 or 2 years for Leeds. I wasn't sure.
No, that's how good he is, actually. That's to show you how well it's done. Yes, people smash the like button. We have 27 likes. We should be doing better than that. Are you worried at all about England versus Senegal? Well, that's a question. Yeah, you should be worried.
Yeah, I am. Really. I rate Senegal. I think they're going to bring physicality. I think they're going to bring the press. America made England look very uncomfortable, and I think
we're talking about the American midfield being tight. This is going to be even tighter.
Yeah, because yes, they're very good. They're very similar, athleticism-wise, and I think that's
and they have a lot of defensively minded midfielders.
Yeah, I think that's the blueprint how to play England. So, for anyone that thinks that Senegal is going to be a walkover, you're drinking too much, because I think it's going to be I can see it going to penalties if we're lucky. This is going to be a hard game.
So let me see. I'm not sure. Hi again, bro. How are you doing? Thanks so much for finding the time.
Minutes, Coach. Sorry. Be right back in a couple of minutes, Coach. Sorry.
Okay. Let me just call it Kawa again. Thanks, still alive. Ukraine again. I'm glad to hear that you're alive again. I hope you stay safe, brother. Thank you so much for finding the time to join the show. I appreciate that. Let's see what else we'll have here. Again, this loads slowly. That was not, again, a one-off game for Adams. He's playing like that for Leeds regularly, and also for the United States in all the games that he's played for United States at the World Cup. He's been brilliant, really. One of the, you could say, the reason why they're doing well, because everything, football games are won in the midfield. That's just the truth. Rice is 26, Adams is 23, 3 years gap. Hope we can buy some good boys in January. I hope so. I hope so, really. But let's see what the club does. For me, again, I'm going to say this again. If the club can get Bennacer, he solves a lot of problems for us, given how good he is. And again, in terms of breaking up opposition play, reading the game quite well, how physical he can be, and his ability to dribble his way out of tight spaces. You can say his
Coach,
covers. Yeah.
they say Rice is 26. Oh my gosh, they're lying. He's still young, 23.
He's still 23 because I was saying, isn't he still the same age in age bracket as Mason Mount? But
Yes,
mhm. Okay, so let's
yes,
see what happens
yes.
here. Let's see what else do we have. This loads so slowly. I don't like it. Adams and Reece James are cut up from the same cloth. Maybe I'm not going to start comparing them. Reece plays again. Reece can also play fulfill that defensive midfield role, even as in a single pivot. But I think let me not just get into comparing them both. I don't think it makes he will start some unnecessary argument here and something we don't want to get into. Ismail Assar is going to cook the English defenders. We'll see again. The problem you have to deal with mainly is the midfield. They have a lot of known defensive-minded midfielders, including the Everton guy. What's his name again? Idrissa
Idrissa
Gana,
Ganagay.
and one from there's another player from is it Mendy from Leicester City? Isn't that his name?
Yes, correct.
So
Mendy.
they can overload that midfield with defensively minded players, and the only thing England can do is just find a way to do something from the flanks and not centrally. Really, they're that good. It says, unfortunately, let me see what we have here. Unfortunately, we cannot get Rice if he wants Champions League. Yep, that's why I'm looking at this. If he says this, then Champions League football is important to him. But some people still thinks it's going to happen. And CFC Hakeem, nice to see you here, brother. If this is your first time here, please take a second to drop a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. So your comment makes perfect sense. If he really wants to play Champions League football, then we can get him if we cannot offer him that. I'm sorry, this is again, the StreamYard app is a bit too slow today. The only way we get Rice is from a mount. But again, it's business, really. If he really wants Champions League football, whatever Mount says doesn't really matter. You've had friends that can convince you to move to a state where they are or to join their company and all that. No, this friendship has limits. There are limits to what your friends can tell you to do. And we're not even sure of Mount's future as it is right now, if we're being honest, really. Let me see. Needs again Edson Alvarez and someone like again Madison at Chelsea. The whole thing comes down to what the manager wants, and we're not sure who the manager wants. So we can debate all we want tomorrow. It doesn't change anything. Is it true we're acquiring Andre Santos, the Brazilian wonderkid? The rumors are again that we're ahead in the race. I'm saying, is it 20 million the quoted price? There's no way telling until you see the player holding the shirt, signing again with the pictures of him putting pen to paper, and the club releases a statement. These days, there's no telling. After all, we heard from Fabrizio Romano a month ago or so, or I don't know how long, that we've already signed. We've already signed a Gvardiol. That all he has to do is just join us June 2023. But now we're hearing how many clubs that are interested in securing Gvardiol's signature. They were only pushing. But we'll talk about him in a bit. N'Golo, Hakeem, Christian are going to leave Alas. It looks like that's going to happen. N'Golo Kante is one player I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave Chelsea, really, no matter how people see it. Joe Hackett, Chelsea CFC fan. It's been a minute, brother. How have you been? I hope you're doing well. Thanks so much for finding the time to join the show. And this is a bit slow, and it's annoying, really. Where can I read it from? Goye got a yellow card, which makes him, I don't know, he's suspended. Okay. So he'll be out, but they still have 90. They have good enough players. They produce a lot of defensive-minded midfielders, so good. Hey, can we please leave Havertz? Again, he comes back, really, but I get your argument. West Ham is in conference. Again, I think he can find another from another season without Champions League if we don't make top 4, and that's a big if. Thank you again, a clinical Kinkai. Thank you for putting it that way. It's a big if, really. There's no telling what's going on behind the scene. Rice is a carbon product. Again, he wants to come back, which he will regardless. Again, do I think it's a possibility that's the case? There's a possibility that's the case, but there's no way telling. All we can do is speculate and work with whatever we see out there. There's no way telling. If you can find me a video where Mount says, where Rice says he wants to come back to Chelsea, and I say, again, definitely he wants to do that. But at this point, it's all speculations. It says again, I still don't understand Kai Havertz's natural position. Even he himself probably confused right now, and that comes down to his versatility, which I think it's a problem. Versatility, again, like I've always said, as much as it makes a player a good tool in the hands of the manager, it can be detrimental to the development of the player, because whenever the manager has a problem or shortage of personnel in certain areas, they always come to that versatile player to come fulfill that role, and that's not good for our young players. Adams seems like, again, a Porter guy. He has a really good head on his shoulders. His Iran interview was amazing. Yeah, what a response to that. You could say that question actually was designed to unsettle him, but he handled it quite well, and I loved it. His main issue I see is his first touch is a bit too heavy. Maybe that's something I have to pay attention to, but good observation right there. I don't know, but I need to say this, a Porter or national team manager need to find Kai Havertz is a proper role. Again, give him game time in one position consistently. And that the same goes to all the players we have in the team. You can say some of them, Loftus-Cheek included, all of them, you can say they haven't mastered any particular position, really. But that's a delicious argument right there. And as Kishan says, again, Sterling, Mount Gallagher, I don't want another overrated English player in Rice. Sorry. Yeah, I get it. And here's a campaign against Rice. Against Havertz. So let's move on from this particular topic here. We're going to go to the next topic. Let's see, AC Milan would like to sign Hakim Ziyech on loan until the end of the season before signing him outright in the summer. The Moroccan is ready to accept a pay cut to get more game time away from Chelsea. Here's where I'm concerned. The Italians, I think, they really have, again, you can say for a while now, they've been bending us over, and I don't like it. So if it's not going to be a loan deal with an obligation to buy, I'm saying let's not do that, really. We shouldn't be doing anything like that. It hasn't really gone well for us. And sorry, again, if your message is being deleted, probably, again, you're using some characters that the machine, or maybe, okay, all caps lettering, again, that was why the Nightbot, the machine, deleted it. So sorry about that. I hope it doesn't happen again. So your thoughts, Tebago, the situation of Hakim Ziyech. I wouldn't even consider loaning him out. I would consider selling him outright. If you want him, pay. The loan option, AC Milan, they've used it effectively. Again, taking some good talent from us. Although the case of Bakayoko didn't work well for them, but we saw what happened again in the case of Tomori. I don't want that in Hakim Ziyech. Let's get a sizable fee from him right now and say, take him if you want him. The loan approach doesn't really work for me. What do you think, Tebago?
Yeah, I agree with you. As I said yesterday, like if AC Milan wants Ziyech, they rather buy him now or loan him with the obligation to buy, because option to buy is a side mission for us. What happens if we get injured? They will say we don't want him back, so we rather sell him to the club that are willing to buy him. That's it.
Yeah. What do you think, Roger? I don't think that we should do any business if they're not willing to buy him outright.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think that's a good approach, because we have been getting the short stick on many transactions, especially with the Italian league and AC Milan in particular. Yeah, I think. Well, but then again, if we can't actually obtain that, then what is he going to do? He's going to, because if we do need to bring people in and thus move people out, then what do we do with him? Cut him? I don't know. We may have to cut our losses we may have to just loan him out if that's the case, to get him off our wage bill at least, and let him go once his contract expires if no one buys him. You know, if we're going to bring Nkuku in and Liao or whomever, does that make sense? Because I don't know. You can't have 3 deep in every position up front. It just doesn't make sense. So
again, in this case, you could say his soul and mind have left Chelsea. Really.
Oh yeah, he's not present when he plays.
No, he's not
psychologically.
Yeah, but I'm still concerned. This has become, there's a pattern to it. How the Italians, probably they've tapped him up already. They're probably trying to find a way to get him on the cheap, because I don't understand. Even if it's going to be a loan with an obligation to buy, I think there's still a trick there. That's the thing. Why come for a loan first? I wouldn't do that really. But probably if the club wants to do away with him, I don't think they'd care if it's a loan with an option to buy. But whatever happens, I think he needs to go. That's not me saying he's a bad player, just because he hasn't really worked. And like we've agreed, he's left the club. His soul and mind had left the club. It's just his body. He's just there because he's contracted to the club. It says again, Kishon says Havertz plays every game and does nothing. I'm good on him. It says again, Germany benching, and that's telling too, really. Why are bench players Pulisic and Ziyech winning man of the match at the World Cup? Can we blame the system? I wouldn't. I will not. Sometimes again, you could say again, whereas again, there's a chance the manager's approach is the problem. There's also a chance the player is the issue himself. Because I don't know how to argue that for it to make any sort of sense. But
also, it's a different league. It's a different format.
The World Cup is a different thing altogether.
Completely different.
Yeah. I cannot blame favoritism if you want. There's a chance that people argued that when Thomas Tuchel was the manager, the argument was that he was favoring the German players. Now in Porter, the argument is that he's favoring English players. So yeah, but those arguments, when you look at them, you find reasons to say, oh, this actually looks like that's the case. AC Milan did the same thing with Bakayoko, if you remember. But good luck with them with that one. But they practically ruined them, probably as they were trying to get them on the cheap. I'm not sure what happened. I don't remember everything.
You know what?
They loaned him for a full season with an obligation to buy at the end, and they just sent him back to us. No, if there's an obligation, which means you have to buy him, maybe there are certain, you could say certain clauses that has to be met before that's the case.
Yeah.
Then there's a way, they just seem to find a way to avoid those clauses and then end up sending the player back to us. Go ahead.
That's one player that really I was wrong about, because I watched him play about 6 games in the Champions League for Monaco, Bakayoko, and I thought he was the real article. And when he came to Chelsea, he was just a shadow of himself. I would never have guessed that. I thought he was going to be a star for us. I'm so shocked about Bakayoko. I really am.
We also have to remember, we don't really remember what happened. He came to us with injury.
Yeah, that's true. His ankle wasn't it?
So that may have changed quite a lot. Plus, even at that, he didn't do that bad at Chelsea, really. So probably
no comment.
the availability of he isn't the worst players we've had, really. Even again, maybe the availability of N'Golo Kante limited his chances to be on the pitch, really. But I'm not going to get into that. It isn't something that I have looked into that much. If we give AC Milan Ziyech and again they give us Bennacer, maybe there's a chance we can factor again what's his name, Ziyech, into the deal again. If we're really interested in getting Bennacer, maybe we'll work something out with them. Probably you could say the reason Leipzig got Werner for the amount that we heard they got him for was because we wanted Nkunku and all that, but we don't know. Again, let's see what happens. I still believe Ziyech and Pulisic will still do well at Chelsea. if the manager can trust them, give them a game time. Even if you're the manager, Ziyech's body language doesn't warrant him getting a chance, really. Christian Pulisic, yes. Christian Pulisic, you could argue actually that Porto has been unfair to him. But we're not going to get into that. That's not what we're here to talk about. I think it's cruel the way we have a treated Ziyech. Again, at some point, show some class and let the guy go. Again, he isn't 23, so his years are getting short. Business aside, his sport is wasted. The young players, again, Thomas Tuchel, Dean wasn't fair to him, really, if we're being honest. But I'm not going to get into that yet. It goes, again, on appearances and goes on even clean sheets. Wow. So there's a chance they intentionally find a way to make it now, again, to make the obligation to buy the player ineffective, really, just to find a way to get him on a cheap. So it just makes sense. I wouldn't trust them, really. Bakayoko was even in a French squad at one point. He had to be decent when he's getting in the team. That's the truth. Something went wrong, and I don't know what it is, really. And it's gotten worse. There was a time at AC Milan when was the former Italian man, when he was still the coach, he was doing quite well for them, and we were thinking he's back. Gattuso was the AC Milan manager then. Correct me if I'm wrong. Mount is the poster boy. He needs to produce. We'll see. We'll move on from this story right here. We have this one here. Shows again. Scholes wants United to sign Nkunku. I think it's a bit too late. But we have to be honest. Has it put pen to paper yet? I haven't seen anything that maybe suggests that has happened. But that's one player I think was signed already. So I'm not really concerned about that. After Nkunku, Chelsea also want to move forward and refine the detail of the signing of Josko Gvardiol. New context after the World Cup. There's a lot of competition, and the Blues don't want to give up. This is one player I would say shouldn't be a priority for the club. We've talked about it already, but I don't know why. Because if we sign him, that begs the question on where the future of Levi Colwill lies. But
yeah,
if you look at the Croatian lineup or structure, if you prefer, he can play centrally too. But I think we'll be unnecessarily overloading that department. I don't know, except if we sign him and he stays there of one more season, just like the case we're hearing how the deal to get Nkunku will be. Maybe that again, he stays down to Thiago Silva leaves, and he can come back. Then we'll have Koulibaly there as the most experienced, with him pairing Koulibaly centrally in the back four, or because he can play in his left centre back position too. But I just don't know why we're wasting our time on trying to get him. But I don't know. Your thoughts, Roger?
It's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, where does this put Levi then? You're right. Our depth, listen, can we safely assume that this is his last season? I'm talking about the Brazilian.
Silva.
Yeah. Do you think this is his last season playing for us, or do you think he can play next year?
No, possibly. I think this will most likely be.
I think so.
Haven't they've started talking about offering him a new 1-year extension, haven't they?
Yeah, I know, but
that may be the reason.
Wrong.
You can say
37 is the new 37 is the new 30, right? I mean, if you had told me a few years ago that you'd be seeing professional footballers playing at such a high standard, anything past 35, I would have laughed at you. Seriously, I mean, he's an amazing, and yeah, you could say somewhat fortuitous, but he's a great athlete and he looks after himself. He's a professional, but I don't think we can rely on him. Let's say he does sign an extension. He's one hamstring pull away from us being in trouble. So we can't rely on him. Only maybe for the big games. I think, listen, we have Fofana, we have Chalobah, we have Koulibaly, Levi Colwill. I don't know. Do we need another one? Maybe.
So how about, again, if we say the talks to offer him a new contract, if it's just a strategic move just to have him settled?
Yes.
even if it stays beyond again the current season, maybe they can keep him in another capacity, like a player, a coach, or a defensive coach, something like that, because he has that pedigree.
So I'll tell you what. Let me ask you a question first before we can come to that conclusion. Yeah, he does have pedigree. I agree with you. I've watched him. He's rather good. How do you rate Levi Colwill?
As much as I think he's should I say prospect, or it's a guy say he's one for the future.
Yeah,
I don't know him that well, really.
No, neither do I.
We've all heard again all the noise and all that, but I think I've watched him, especially in the playoff games when they were fighting to make it to the Premier League. Which again, here's what I wanted before. I'm going to explain this to you. I wanted them to be able to win that game at Wembley, to be the team to make it to the Premier League. That way Chelsea can easily say, good job, well done. Now play one more season with your team in the Premier League.
Sure.
That would have given us the perfect opportunity to see what he's capable of doing in the Premier League. Do I think he did well in that game? He did quite well, really. He was one of their best players, his team's best players. But unfortunately, things got complicated for Chelsea. The fact that they missed out.
Yeah, didn't he score an own goal or something?
Yeah, he scored an own goal. So, but that's nothing. That won't take away how well he did on the day.
No.
But my argument had they beaten the opposition on the day, and he would have easily agreed to play one more season with that same team in the Premier League, and that would have helped given Chelsea again to assess him on the bigger stage. And also us to also have a closer look at him. The truth remains, not many of us watch many Champions League for championship football, no matter how anybody comes to argue that. So again, I don't know him that well, and I can't say with just the only thing I saw, his display on that playoffs game is enough for me to say.
Sure, I get it.
Yeah, but I know he's a good player, but to what extent I can't say really. So yeah. I'm still saying if we really value him like everything we've heard from the manager, then the club, then
if he turns out to be as good as Chalobah, then I'm happy.
Yeah, but there's no way telling at this point. Really.
No, exactly. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Chalobah has exceeded my expectations. He really has, Coach.
Here's the thing. I think I saw enough in those few games he played. Even when he wasn't playing regularly under Thomas Tuchel, I knew he has it in him. Even when people were complaining about, again, the mistakes and all of that, I told them, look, that's very common with players at his age. But look how quickly he's matured under Montour too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And probably the club recognized that and offered him a new contract right away. So, but looking at how many players we have Chalobah. We have Chalobah again. If we go to back four, he can play centrally. He's played centrally with Koulibaly before, and he was a perfect display against. Was that against Crystal Palace or what team was it? Was that again? I don't remember what team it was. But that's Southampton, I think. But that's, by the way, really. So having him, Chalobah, Fofana, and the Koulibaly, Thiago Silva right now, and also who else do we have? That's four of them. So maybe we do need Gvardiol, but I don't know. But it begs the question: the future. Where does the future of Levi Colwill lie?
Coach, the idea of getting Jasko Gvardiol is to replace Thiago Silva, because remember, Thiago Silva's aging, and then we are not sure yet if he will get a new contract at Chelsea, but hopefully yes, he gets one. But again, this is the idea of getting Jasko Gvardiol. That's why Chelsea made a late bid for him last summer.
It is for the central position you're saying, but go ahead.
No, it's not the central position. But again, they said the report was saying that Thiago Silva is getting old, so they want replacement for him. And then at the moment, we don't have a left center back. That's why I said it before. Like, why did we let Colwill to go on loan? Because we lack balance on the center back role. But again, Chelsea made a late bid last summer to get him, and then loan him to Leipzig, and then come in the following season. So I think Chelsea will go all out for this kid, especially after the World Cup performance, because so far he's been doing good.
Yeah, again, and he plays centrally.
Also, you know what we need to address is Azpilicueta is probably not going to be able to be with us too much longer, and he's not the same player he was. So playing in the back line like a right centre back.
Yeah. Yeah, go
so
ahead.
You know, like, don't forget he's been historically used as a right centre back also. So we're going to lose that depth also. So there is a need to get one other person probably.
And I didn't count him really. And remember, I think we did. Yeah, and in our analysis, we recognize that probably again because Gvardiol can play centrally. Probably we're looking at Thiago Silva not playing that. Even if he stays beyond this current season, they're probably not going to be playing that much. For instance, we kept Azpilicueta not down to his playing ability, but because we want that spine to remain. We don't just want to be drastic about the transition period and do away with all the old, you could say the old heads. Then we have a serious problem. You could say that's one of the main reasons why we kept him, and I'm glad we did. So yeah, I didn't count him when I was counting the center halves we have at the club. Yeah, so I think Gvardiol now, it makes sense. Now that we've taken time to look at it. And Tebago, thank you for bringing that up. Do you remember last year, again, in January, Ziyech was on his prime. He was fighting on all cylinders, doing a lot of work defensively. And I remember that. Again, it just didn't make sense as to why Thomas Tuchel dropped him to the bench. That really infuriated me. Whose spot is Nkunku taken?
Sterling.
You know fully well that's not possible.
I know. I'm just joking.
Yeah,
I wish.
You know fully well. Yeah, you know fully well that's not possible. I think Sterling will start doing well. He will still do well at Chelsea, but he should start again. Just keep it as simple as he did at Manchester City. Just keep it simple, really. So he won't be exposed as a bad dribbler, really. But I'm not going to get into that argument. And
that's
Roger
my
has a
Christmas
spreadsheet.
wish.
Yeah, and you and you have a spreadsheet of how many dribbles he's missed. But he has
11 out of 50. That's 22% success rate.
That's annoying, really. Again, the most savage club at avoiding obligation is Atletico. Griezmann was always on for less than 30 minutes to not close until I remember. Roger, have you heard that story?
Yes, that's that's shameful, you know. That's seriously unacceptable. Wow.
And look how much, I've forgotten how much, but they got him for peanut practically.
Yeah. Listen, you should play a person based on their abilities and minutes played rotation.
But probably they did that in agreement with the player because he felt like he felt scapegoated by Barcelona during the racism row and everything. Barcelona didn't release the video. They had the video. They didn't release it until he refused to take a pay cut. So probably Atletico Madrid, as an entity as big as they are, wouldn't do that without the player being part of it.
You would hope so.
Yeah, so that's possibly Griezmann's way of getting back at Barca. Really.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at it, it makes sense, really. Let me see what we have here. Again, why wouldn't you give Silva an extension? How could you go wrong with him, even just as a squad player? It's a win-win. I agree. Liam Lane is actually out to attack us all today.
I think so. No, we're not saying we shouldn't give him a contract. It's just we shouldn't count on him being fully fit.
Yeah, and I agree. I did agree. Even if he's staying again, he's not going to stay beyond this season. Giving him an extension is important. If you give him an extension, he's going to be settled. Even if you don't intend keeping him beyond this season, giving him an extension is going to help because he's going to remain settled at the club. His mind is not going to be elsewhere. If he ends up leaving after the season, that's fine. And we talked about his pedigree as a player. There's a chance the club also, they have a plan to keep him beyond his playing career. there's a lot he can still offer to us. Look how well he's playing at the World Cup. You could argue from deep, he's actually one of Brazil's best passer of the ball.
He's their captain, isn't he?
Yeah, he is from the defensive line. So, but that's, by the way, we understand that. So stop attacking us, Liam Lane. Slow down.
Lock him,
but I'm joking anyway. Yeah, we're joking, of course. But again, that's a good comment there. Good question you asked there. I have Colwell in my back three. Okay, you're probably talking ultimate. That's why you'll be able to get him and have him. I haven't used them in the ultimate FIFA Ultimate, but I'll try him Sunday to see how good he is. Even I haven't used them in FIFA actually. But let's see. Here we have again. Silva is still 100 miles clear of all defenders in this league. Even at the World Cup, you can say he's one of the best defenders, excluding his current form, Saliba. So keep him for another 2 years. Keeping him is a no-brainer, even if he isn't playing. That's how I see it. Here's the thing about Thiago Silva. It's something I've said before. The factors that define him as a player, it is not pace. Pace isn't included. It's not power. Those two things aren't included. These are the things that define Thiago Silva as a player. It's his intelligence,
ability to read.
Ability to read the game. You could say his technical ability. Those are the things that define him as a player. Even when he was still younger, he doesn't run that much. And that's, you could say that's one of, yes, he takes good care of himself, but those things are critical as to why he's still playing at the highest level, even at his age. Sorry?
What car is he, coach?
What car? Rolls Royce.
Rolls Royce.
That's your language. So yeah, if that makes any sort of sense, I think the board is concerned about the injuries to our back line more than anything else. You could argue that too. Havertz, surprisingly, let's just shock you. Havertz has a future at Chelsea if he's willing to be patient.
I hope
he only leaves if he becomes unsettled. And as you can see, even Graham Potter trusts him. Because there's more to a player.
Like Havertz.
Yeah, there's more to a player. The truth remains, even when a player is missing chances, Havertz, you can say his biggest contribution to the team isn't really about scoring goals.
No, he's not a prolific goal scorer, never has been. But you know what, though? I'll be honest with you, and I know there's several attributes, attributing factors to this equation, and that is that he needs to be more consistent. And I understand it's because he's been playing in multiple positions, which doesn't really accommodate such consistency. I get that, but he does need to start being more consistent. You know, he has some games where he's just so off target, and there are some games that, you know, you look at him and go, this is the player that I thought he would be. He needs to level it out a bit more. That's my only thing. But he's very young. That's another thing. He's, dare I say, a fetus. You know, he's very young. He's not even close to reaching his peak. You know, he's 23 and a half, not even.
Well, like I said,
so
Chelsea fans, like I said before. Yeah, like I've said before to Chelsea fans, age ain't nothing but a number. So they don't care that you're saying.
But seriously, it takes time, you know, in that position especially. Listen, he is so widely admired by most people in Germany. He really is, collectively, you know. He just is. I'm trying to think of the analyst, the journalist in Germany. I can see his face, the bearded chap. But anyway, he cannot stop waxing lyrical about him. You know, he's been doing that for years, and this is the general consensus that he's a fine technical player. So I don't know. I mean, listen, Germany, they have a history and a pedigree of producing good players, and they're not so quick to dismiss such a talent. No, I think he's a good player. I think, chaps, you need to be patient.
You could just again, Havertz better define he's a traditional German player.
I'm sorry, sir.
Havertz, again, in a nutshell, definition, again, defining him, he's a traditional German player.
He's a prototypical, yeah.
Yeah, not about power, not about, again, it's about technical ability
finesse.
And all that, but that's,
his first touch, he's a finesse player. I mean, do you remember that, was it against Southampton where he brought the ball down over his shoulder with his left foot?
Again, so many instances that show, that highlight,
there's not many players that can do that. Seriously.
Yeah, only a few really, if we're being honest.
And plus, it's a service. It's the whole ingredients. If you're cooking a meal, and you're missing an ingredient, or you put too much of something in or not enough, it's going to come out tasting like my cooking, coach. Let's put it that way, okay? So it's the same thing in football. You need all the
So Roger, you're saying that you're a bad cooker.
I'm pretty sure my children would say that, yeah. I think it's a safe assumption, yes. It's
okay, just quickly, with all the rumors coming out of players doubting Porter, Silva will be needed as a legendary captain to help protect Porter against these spoiled young millionaires. I don't know whether to believe that or not. Who was that again? Was it a pundit that said that, or who was that?
Do you think we have a player problem? Do you think we have a player problem?
If there's any measure of truth to it. Sorry?
Do you think in Chelsea, the squad, do you think there's any personality issues or issues within the locker room? Do you think I think they're quite close knit, aren't they?
That's no way telling. There's no way telling, but when Lukaku was there, you could look at it and say, this player's not getting along that much. But right now, there's no way to tell. That's why I don't know whether to believe this or not, seriously. I'm going to be honest. Again, if you haven't, please take a second to drop a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, plans are to move to a back four. How do you know? James and Winger,
what's
tell
your
me
source?
how do you know? What's your source? We want to know. With time agent, Tebago and Koulibaly won't cope with physicality of EPL. Colwell, Gvardiol, Fofana, Chalobah are feature. Again, those are some. I think your comment makes sense, but what I want to know, the part that says the plan is to move to a back four is something I disagree with, because Porter plays predominantly with a back three structure. Even he did that at He did that at Brighton, and the plan isn't a defensive approach really. The plan is to have two more players participate in the attacking phase. That's why usually you see him deploy wingers in the wing back rows. If you understand what I mean.
But if he does, coach, that's historically. If he does intend to migrate to a back four, I think this bodes well for. Of, should we say, front-loaded players, because we're more heavy in front. So, the best form of defense is offense, as they say. And if we can get either A, Kante back to full health, or B, get a very good defensive midfielder, then you know what? Then this would bode well for us. Wouldn't you like to see us move to a back four predominantly, or no?
No. Really? Here's the thing. First, it's never gonna happen. Really, this is the same. Here's us talking like we don't know.
Just asking.
Yeah, and the language is predominantly the language we use is predominantly. He plays with a back three structure predominantly. I think Ty has a very good historically maybe. Ty has a good video that explained that with the percentage of how many times he's played with he's played with the back three.
But it wasn't but coach, it wasn't like 85 to 90% back three. It was like 64.
But it's still predominant. It's still here's the thing.
Sure, but
like I said, his back three. Yeah, his back three approach isn't a defensive minded approach like Conte's or anyone else that comes to mind.
I agree.
It's more of, again, the approach is designed to have more attacking players on the pitch. And that, again, I'm repeating myself, That's the reason why you see him deploying wingers in the wing back position. And that's why Leandro Trossard has done that quite well for him, did that very, very well for him at Brighton, playing from the wing back role. Whereas, again, the approach is just for him to add to the attack. But that's by the way anyway.
It's very fluid. No, you're right, though, because his back three is different from most, like Conte's back three, completely different. I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to say again, big up to CFC Dan. Thank you so much for finding time to join the show. Nice to see you here. When is Kante and Fofana coming back? Kante is around February, I think. Fofana, I think mid-December, we heard. I think he started light training. I'm not sure. I don't want to start giving you information out of my wazoo here. His biggest contribution is his conditioning. Ooh. Are you talking about Thiago Silva?
Yeah.
Okay, if you're talking, okay, that makes sense. Again, if someone else have been thinking of condition in terms of their hair, maybe Cucurella.
Yeah, for sure.
All he does is run. Okay, let's see. Chelsea needs to come out strong when the league resumes. Wenger, hello, my Niger brother. Thank you so much for finding the time to join the show. I appreciate that. Yeah, we need to start firing on all cylinders the moment that the league resumes. Otherwise,
relax, coach. Relax.
Okay.
The first 4-5 losses, it's just losses, coach.
You know what? The first 15, 20 losses is acceptable, really. Chelsea needs to come out. Yeah, thank you, Wenger, for saying that, my Niger brother. Let me see. If you use all caps, the machine will delete your contribution. So please avoid using all caps. As you join, like it says, Steve. Okay, Bournemouth game, mate, again, and I think Kante will be back after Man City game. Kante won't be back until around February, I think. Havas has no skills. He can hang his hat on every game. Okay. Germany benched him for Mario Götze. I bet again. There's opinion of him has said maybe because he didn't do well in the games that played, but that doesn't mean he's the bad player overall. Really hope Chelsea go through again with getting Bennacer. He's the player I want to see. Supreme Quartz, nice to see you, brother. I hope you're doing well. Again, that's a tough poll to choose from. Yeah, let's see. That's how, now you know how difficult Potter's job is. But let's see what we have here. He is a generic, again, brand version of Thomas Muller. He's still going at it.
Ouch.
he is still going at it.
Yeah.
Kishon, if you want to go to heaven, just be fair to Kai Havertz, really. If you had Enzo Fernandez on that poll, I would have chosen him over any other. Wow. Can you elaborate? Siobhan Igwe Dalo, thanks so much for finding the time to join the show. As soon as we get Bennacer, we could get rid of Jorginho. Not really. Not really. Fawzi Hussein, not really. They're two different players. And as much as I like Bennacer, I don't think there are games you could say Jorginho would be better for us if we really want to dictate how the game is played. But that's by the way, I get your argument. Some rumors from Stamford Bridge is that Todd B's vision is for his club to deploy 4-3-3. Okay. For Todd Bowley's vision, really.
No comment.
And Potter wasn't made aware of that. Jameson Winger, okay, we'll see what happens there. But
again, I just want Graham Potter to play what he's comfortable doing, what he understands most, not what we see from our fans selecting formations for him to do blah blah blah. It's wrong. Graham Potter needs to play what he knows best, so that the players can.
Are you still there?
Tebago.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not mine. Again, this team is ridiculously toxic, and until that, along with the fitness issues, are sorted out, we will do nothing overall but complain. Toxicity. But let me ask you, really,
what toxicity?
Do you think we have a fitness issue given how many players we have injured?
Listen, the wing back role, it's always you've seen that happen in other teams. You look at Liverpool; they've had injuries, to Trent Alexander and Robinson. Also, this position more than any other, when utilized, you're constantly going up and down, up and down. That's all you're doing. Therefore, you're more susceptible to muscle issues and injuries, like a calf, for instance. Now, Reese's, that was he hyperextended his knee. If you watch it, that's just a tackle. So that's a one-off. That can happen to anybody. It's like when Luke Shaw got his leg snapped in too. It's like, you can't say he's susceptible to injuries. The guy went in and literally broke his tibia and fibia. It could have been anybody. So these things happen. Do you understand? And with Chile, I'm not sure. Was he really fully recovered? I don't know. Maybe he's injury prone. Listen, we have been hit quite a bit with injuries. Who's to say? Maybe it's the physical approach, the staff, maybe, perhaps, or maybe it's just bad luck, or maybe it's just the odds catching up with us. There's many variable permutations that one could look at and logically agree with. Does that make sense? It's too early. I mean,
there were players for me. While I'm still with you, I want to get your opinion on this. This says the aspect that says toxic again, ridiculously toxic. That part, that's one.
In what context? Here, I don't understand that.
Yeah, just quickly, I'm coming. In terms of, again, you could say relationship between the players. Players having more, like, you could say, should I say factions? No, factions isn't the term. Having like gangs within the team, like
sure, okay,
yeah, so something like that. Let's say again, we really should go for Enzo, Sivan, Igwe. Igwe, we'll see what happens. But I'm going to say this comments here, where Wally Waldo says, again, I don't think it's toxicity. That's a word I can't pronounce.
Toxicity.
I don't think it is toxicity. I think it's to do with egos, to be honest. So which of these two, if you are, is the most accurate, really, in terms of the situation at the dressing room, of which you don't know if any of these two is actually the truth. But if you're to choose one from what you've seen so far that you think would be the case, which of them do you think would be?
I think this was the case years ago, under Conte and under Mourinho, where the players down tools. I think, when you had strong personalities like a Lampard, like a Terry, players just and a Hazard, they just down tools. Yes, I think this was prevalent in Chelsea. It's had for many years a very powerful locker room. The players were more powerful than the coach, and they knew that, especially with the previous ownership. But I'm not sure the same could be said with today's players, especially when you have a captain like Aspi that is universally liked and, he leads by example. And I don't believe there's divisions within this team. I could be wrong. I'm not privy. I'm not there, obviously. But it doesn't appear to be the case.
Here's where I think...
I'm not sure where this is derived from.
Here's where if I'm allowed to use the term, the word germinate, here's where I think that could germinate from, would be from Graham Potter not rewarding performance. Because that lasted. Even though it wasn't up to a month.
Sure, I agree.
Let's say, I agree. That lasted for a few games. It lasted for 2, 3, 4, 5 games. That alone will fertilize a toxicity to a concerning measure, really. Because we talked about it here.
I get it.
So there's a chance that's the case. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, listen, I'm going to give the example. I'm going to be honest here. You play a player like Sterling, and I don't have an agenda here. I'm just basing it on honesty here. When you have a player that is not producing week in, week out, game in, game out, and yet you have someone like a Pulisic sitting on the bench going, "Are you kidding me? You're not letting me start over this chump." So I get that approach. I get that. And perhaps Ziyech is thinking that. They're same mindsets. I get that. That could grow and fester some animosity in that regard. But I'm not sure about the actual players having animosity towards each other. Maybe frustration or
Maybe
dislike towards
animosity
the
towards the
coach.
manager.
Yeah,
That's
more
still,
so
that's
than
still toxic.
more so. Yeah, more. No, I agree with you. I'm just differentiating more than towards each other as opposed to not playing as a team. Yes, I think that there is some basis for that. That's a good observation. That could very well be the case. That could be, because it's frustrating, and let's be honest here. These are very young people
because
for
just
the most
quickly,
part
just
that have
quickly.
egos,
Yeah.
right? And it's bruised.
But egos wouldn't cause toxicity, really, if you ask me. It's a different. That's what I'm saying. Remember, we see them as different factors, really. Waldo is talking about a different thing, and ego sometimes can actually be a good thing to a considerable measure. But in times of players not being happy with the manager not rewarding performance, players do talk to each other.
Yes, of course. Yeah, of
So,
course.
and when they start communicating on how the manager isn't rewarding performance, it becomes an issue. And we talked about, the last time we talked about this, we talked about how when you put a player on the pitch, who's on the bench, who started games before, maybe you brought on as a sub and they did quite well and expecting to start the next game, you still drop them on the bench, then you bring them on the next game to try to help you change game when things aren't going your way. They'd say to themselves, well, why am I even on the pitch? After all, what I do here doesn't matter, really. But go ahead with what you were saying.
Yeah, especially if they want to play. There are some players that are content with not playing and they just want to collect a paycheck. But I think that's a very small percentage. And there are some players that do have an ego or take pride in their job. And don't forget, a lot of these people in all sports, they play the sport because they love it. They've been playing it since they were very young. I mean, really young. And they do it because of the love of the sport, You look at golfers, but they play golf because since they were 4 or 5, this is their passion, football, whatever. So I get that, it must be beautiful to be able to be so good at such a sport and get paid handsomely for it. So I understand that concept. So yeah, that's a strong possibility. And Coach Chris is right. We all work, and I've seen it. I'm a communications engineer, wide area network, and I worked in Silicon Valley, and I did see some toxicity. Not as much for most of my career, but I understand.
It's a dangerous thing, really.
Yeah, I understand, but and don't forget, these people are quite young, a lot of them, and they're getting paid hundreds of thousands a week. So, they have large egos. I get it. So yeah, I see the logic in that, Coach Chris. I really do. With regards to the fitness, I'm not so sure. I'm not sure whether I agree with that logic per se. There is some truth to it, but I get where you're coming from also, Coach Chris.
Yeah, okay. This one says, Coach Chris says, like how is Mount is starting forward for Chelsea again. Okay, he's asking a question there. He's obviously not good enough. Havertz really has been awful. But yeah, that's an argument I don't want to get into. A lot of our players have been awful, really. If you get a goal and an assist in the start, if you got a goal and assist in the start and didn't start again for 3 weeks, no way you'd like that. Yeah, again, so that's why we touched about we touched it too. Pulisic and Ziyech are gone. Say bye-bye, and it's gonna hurt. I hope it doesn't. Again, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you so much, guys, as it helps us reach a wider audience. Thank you so much, Leon Lane, for saying that. And Mount is turning down 200,000, 200K a week.
We don't know that
who does he think he is? I've seen this question again, but there's no way to confirm that's the truth. Yeah. And what we heard, we talked about yesterday, that is absolute BS. No way to confirm that happened, really. That's why I think it's to do with ego instead of toxicity, again, Coach Chris. And you could also say ego can also, you could say, lead to a toxic environment in the workplace, really. Or a
combination.
Rudiger had had it all together. I'm not sure I understand what you're trying to say there, really. But let's see what we have here quickly. Again, turning down 200K a week for 4 or 5 years is insanity, in my opinion. But how do we know that that really happened? We're going to move on. I really want us to talk about the performances of the new signings. We probably will be able to cover only one player or two of them, but let's see what we're able to do.
By the way, Coach, can I just say something? I was watching a thing called TalkSport over here, and they were talking to some people. So there's this one chap that was a former owner of Crystal Palace. He's quite young, actually. He's in his 40s, I assume. And so he's very well connected in the football world. And he was talking to people that know other people very, very well. He's highly connected. And he was stating that, for instance, there are several people like a Ronaldo that is offered over 200 million net to go play per year in Saudi Arabia. And he was talking about
PSG.
I've seen
that too. Yeah, go ahead.
That's net. So this is crazy money. So 200,000 a week is actually pennies on the pound compared to some of the elite players that are getting paid, especially with Mbappe. Apparently he's on massive, unconscionable salary. It's not just to do with the direct salary. They're paid incentives based on, digital rights and so forth, and also commercial contracts. So they're paid more than handsomely. I mean, handsomely is an insult.
Yeah. Okay. Just quickly, I'm just going to read this one and we'll move on. Yeah. Go ahead.
For Chelsea's sake, Ronaldo should take that deal in order not to come at Chelsea. Because if he come at Chelsea, oh my gosh, Chelsea fans will be crying.
What's that?
Okay.
Sorry, could you say that again, sir? I didn't quite get that.
I'm saying Cristiano Ronaldo should take that deal because he's been linked with Chelsea recently, and Chelsea fans don't want him. So if you come to Chelsea, oh my gosh, you are going to get so many criticism for our owners. So I think you should check.
He's probably going to go to MLS or Portugal or Italy.
No.
Saudi Arabia before he comes to Chelsea.
Take that money.
Yes.
Take that money.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think no? You know what? He told them, "Don't insult me." He's not going to take it. He will curse them out and say, "What is the? I don't want it. I'd rather go take $10,000 a week at Chelsea." Does that make sense to you?
Net over 3 years. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a lot of golf balls.
Yeah. For me, I know. For me, I wouldn't take it. I would go to Chelsea, start collecting £2,500 a week. That's better, right? If that makes sense to you. Yes.
No, it doesn't. And I'm sure my girlfriend would agree.
Oh my goodness! Here's the thing. If we want to talk about that, really, the truth remains. If that is true, if that is the truth, there's no way he'd consider Chelsea or any other club anywhere. Yeah. How much? Well, let's not even waste our time talking about it, really. Just quickly, let me read this because we have a few minutes around. Christian Pulisic can clearly imagine playing for Borussia Dortmund again. However, he would have to take a huge salary cut. A short-term winter transfer seems impossible, with Chelsea said to be ready to let him go next summer for a manageable fee. Okay. And if he stays, he's playing a dangerous game. For me, I would want to leave again come January, really, if there's that possibility. Because if he stays, from what I've seen, I don't think Potter sees him as a starter too.
No, he doesn't. At least not so far. Thus far, it doesn't look like it at all.
Yeah, so for him, I'd leave, really. But let's start with this. I'm going to start, Rodrigo, with this. And Rodrigo, big up. How are you doing, brother? I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing.
Just quickly, your thoughts on Cucurella. First, let me start by saying this. Do you think we're overpaid for him? Again, not looking at this performance. Not again, how high? I don't know if you were one of those hyped that we were going to get him. Do you think we're overpaid for him, or do you think it's money well spent? Not looking at his performances at Chelsea.
Yeah,
I want to get your thoughts, really.
62 million.
60, yeah. That's with add-ons, right? It's not straight up cash, but I think it's 55,
Yeah, I believe
55
so. Yeah.
cash. Yeah, did we overpay? At the time, in hindsight, you could say yes, but at the time, I think it was a fair deal. So I would say no, we didn't overpay because obviously I can't say now
In
we
what
overpaid.
sense is it fair?
Because listen, you're taking Brighton player of the year. You're taking one of the best performing
Sure.
player. Nowadays, I know for left back, and well, it's not just a left back, it's a left back, left wing back, left centre back. I'm talking here.
Yeah, I get
I'm
it.
putting myself here as in when we sign him, because obviously, if I say now, I'll say yes, we overpay, but I want to put it back as to when we signed him. So at the time we signed him, I felt like it was a decent deal because we didn't lose our Liver Corwell, because that was another thing that people complained about, crying about Corwell, and we didn't lose him out, so we had to pay over the odds to get Cucurella, and I still think it was a great signing because he allowed us to finally get rid of Alonso, because Alonso was completely done. So imagine if we still had Alonso. So signing of Cucurella allowed us to do that, and
Sure.
at the time he's a very competent fullback, and he can compete with what's his name, Ben Chilwell. So it was a good signing, and I still think his if I want to touch a bit on his performance, he started well under Tuchel, and then maybe I think around when he was sick,
COVID.
wasn't it?
Yeah, he had COVID.
It was a tonsillitis or something like.
Yeah. And have you seen anything that makes you again? That makes you that you're concerned that we may have spent too much on him?
No, I'm not concerned at all about his performance. I'm telling you, this guy will definitely live up to the expectation, and he will be Spain #1 left back in years to come. Unless Balde doesn't suddenly become best left back in the world, but he will be that guy. I just feel like early on he suffered from illness he had, and he suffered from change of managers, and then he hasn't been helped as well.
Change of manager?
Yeah, he played well under Tuchel, which is, I know it's strange because he played, he was Brighton player of the season.
That's why Roger went change of manager.
Yeah.
I'm like, hang on a minute.
We have to realize,
Objection, Your Honour.
Who did he have in front of him? He had Trossard.
I'm just messing.
Go ahead, Rodrigo.
Yeah, he has Solly March in front of him.
Yeah,
these people are willing to work hard. At Chelsea, he has Raheem Sterling. Sterling is useless. He was leaving him one-on-one every time. So
does not track back, and when he does track back, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, so it's pointless having Sterling tracking back. Even if he does track back, he's like he might as well not be there. So yeah.
All right, just quickly here again, they will make a bank with advertising marketing in the US. Okay, again, I will be happy with 10K a week. Yeah, tell me about it, really. Again, especially, but you get my point when I said that, especially with the current state of the British economy, the global economy, really. It's bad everywhere. I hope they keep paying because my son is... Good luck. Again, like from what you've told me, I think your son is a good player anyway. Cucurella, I tell him about the 5-year-old phenomenon. Yeah, he's a brilliant player from what you've told me. Again, you can, let's see what. Well, being a great a debate, guys. Even again with no Premier League to talk about. Yeah, I like it. It makes sense. Again, Brooklyn Rain says again, what the hell? This guy cannot see that Chelsea have been going throughout the whole year, that all the teams that ever going through, that is not a toxicity. It is about a timing of gelling and settlement. Just quickly, Rodrigo, since you didn't talk about this, Coach Chris brought up an argument saying that Chelsea, there's toxicity in the dressing room. and Wally Waldo says it is not toxicity. That it's he says something about again. He said it's ego. If you sense any measure of issue, and if you're asked to choose between the two, do you think it's toxicity, or do you think it's ego? Which do you think it is?
Ego, toxicity. Oh, sorry, team of.
Who's dying there now? Who's dying?
That's
Roger.
funny.
That's Roger.
So sorry.
But go ahead, Rodrigo. Just take a minute quickly. What do you think, really?
I think it's toxicity, ego. What? My God, this is tough. I think it's. Can it be both? I think it's. When I see Chelsea players, I don't see them. When I look at them, like they don't strike to me like the ego type of player. Because if they had any ego, they'll have some pride. They wouldn't they would actually try on the pitch. So I don't know if there are cliques in the dressing room. I don't know. It doesn't look like that type of dressing.
It does look to me that like there are cliques.
Yeah, there would be, but they don't look like that. I don't know. Maybe I just give them the benefit of the doubt. I just think they're just not good enough. They're just not good at the job. They just, they're just not good players.
Yeah, well, they're not playing as a team. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're not playing as a team. So I think
so. That's a sign. That's probably a sign that, to me, is reflective of the fact that there are cliques.
Yeah, I think it's more
not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but it could be. That's a chance. That's the case.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I think as well is, I don't know. Like, look at the age. I don't know if this is it. This is just me speculating. If you're in a dressing room where everyone is in and around the same age, I think people. I don't know. I think people can connect easily. I think when you have a dressing room where you have different age range, you have people in the early 30s, like really old, and then you got a young kid in the early 20s. I think maybe that's where you get. Yeah, you get. I don't know.
Yeah.
In my head, I can't see Mason Mount chilling with Thiago Silva. I don't know. It just in my head, I don't see that. Maybe.
I think. I get your argument. Sterling is a.
He's a black
team of Werner. To me,
funny.
Even though Sterling has been poor, his dribbling output has been again 1 out of 100 dribbles he tries, he gets again 99.9% of it again wrong. But that's by the way. Tuchel signed Sterling. I never wanted Sterling. Okay, let me come back to you, Tebago, just quickly. We have a few minutes to round up, but we're going to stop with Cucurella. We're not going to talk about Fofana and Koulibaly probably tomorrow. Or later in the day, maybe it depends, but I'm not sure it's going to be later in the day. Your thoughts? Did we overpay for Cucurella? And have you seen anything that makes you think like this is a mistake? Because pundits are all out on him, especially the games we lost on the Graham Potter. Most of them, especially English pundits, and this is not me fighting with Roger. Hopefully, he doesn't come back at me throwing punches. Here's the thing. My point is, especially English pundits, they were scapegoating players. Some of them didn't even say Potter made one mistake or the other, especially Cucurella. Yes, that's a video of him, probably like he's he's being romantic with his girlfriend when he should be defending. But to me, that isn't it. Tell me, do you think we overpaid for him, or have you seen anything that you're concerned that really we made a mistake?
No, first of all, I will add to what Rodrigo said. I'm glad we got rid of Alonso. If it was not Cucurella, we should have had Alonso now at the moment. So no Alonso, no problem. And then with Cucurella, some people can say we overspent for him or we overpaid for him. It's too early to judge because he's still new at Chelsea and he's still young. I think 23, 24. So let's give this guy a chance to play for a big club like Chelsea. At the moment, so far, so good. Under Thomas Tuchel in Graham Potter, he did very well. But again, some certain games, I feel like he's trying a lot to prove himself. He needs just to relax and play his game just like he did at Brighton. Sorry. So overall, I say Cucurella is a fun player. We will love to watch him in future games. We just need to relax as Chelsea fans, and then these pandas are just crying out loud for English players. They rate English players more than foreign players, which is wrong at the moment. So at the moment, I'll say Cucurella is a fine player. No Alonso, no trouble.
Yeah, to me, I think one thing I'm not sure we're gonna get for him is again Alonso's attacking ability. There's something else that Cucurella is known for that probably most people don't know. He had more balls in the boxes, I think, more than Kevin De Bruyne did. It's just that they don't have that fine players in the box to attack them to get at the end of this process. I think he's a fine player overall, but has been quite unlucky. Those games we lost, our defense had no protection. And in those games that if you look at the numbers, he was outstanding. You see how much work. Even eye test will show you how many times he drifts from the wide area to come centrally to come save us from defensive mistakes. But most people don't pay attention to that. Just one mistake, they say this guy is crap. Just like the situation we had with Trevor Chalobah. But go ahead, Roger. What do you think? Do you think we overpaid for him, or do you think it's money well spent? And have you seen anything that makes you feel concerned that we may have made a mistake, even if you feel like
no, it's too early. It's way too early to judge how good he's going to be or how poor he's going to be. Have we overpaid? Yes, but in my opinion, the market is crazy. It's monopoly money. I remember when we paid 30 or 32, whatever, for Kante, and I was like, this is obscene. No one is worth 30 million on the average, you know. And now, oh my God, I would snap someone's hand off for a 30 million pound starting player. It's just that the money, it's nonsensical, coach. This is not sustainable, this spending like this. I'm talking about the valuation of players. You know, I don't know what to tell you. It used to be that the average starting player in the Premier League was about 20, 25 million. Now it seems that we're heading to the average of 50 plus million on the average starting player. Sorry.
Do you guys think they should have a regulation, maybe from
a salary cap and a hard cap? Yes,
not salary cap, but
a hard cap.
Player valuation. It should be like an independent third party that come up with player valuation. I don't know.
That would take like 10 years to implement, probably. But go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm not sure about that, but they should have a hard cap like they do in the NFL, where each year you have a budget that you cannot exceed. So let's put it at 200 million a year that you can't spend on any player. And by the way, that includes selling players. You have to keep within a certain, just like financial fair play, but actually have it work. You know, adhere to it. That needs to be strictly adhered to. We need to have something like that, and I believe a salary cap too, because this is ridiculous.
It's never going to happen in football. Here's the thing: when you say that the salaries we see and the player again, the prices clubs, the money clubs pay for players, wouldn't you say that they're aligned with inflation rate?
No.
You don't think?
I mean, no. I mean,
as much as I'm not a financial expert, I still argue that inflation comes into play when the players are being sold or bought.
Sure, I understand, especially now because of inflation's hit 40-year highs. But we're talking about it's been escalating when there was no inflation. You know, when inflation was less than 2%. Has the market increased between 1% to 2% for the last 10 years? No, it hasn't. It's hasn't kept in line with inflation at all. I don't
Would
think
you
that's
be okay?
relevant.
You've worked at Silicon Valley, like you told us,
yeah,
and I believe you. Would you be okay then to hear they're trying to implement a salary cap, no matter how good you are, good of a coder or again, how good you are as a network analyst or network engineer? Would you be happy with that?
If anyone knows anything about Silicon Valley, you don't go there for the salary, you go there for the shares. I'm just
Yeah,
messing with
okay,
you.
thank you. But again, let's assume people are paid again in a way the salary caps can be introduced.
Yeah,
Would
no,
you be
I get
happy
it.
with that? You wouldn't be.
No, but because you've got a fair market, and I understand that, you know, but we're talking about we're talking about an industry that, listen, we're not talking about what is the average salary in the United Kingdom? It's like £37,000, I think, right? The median average salary. I
In
think,
football.
yeah, no, I'm talking about the average salary in the United Kingdom.
Okay.
It's £37,000, regardless of the profession. I'm pretty sure that the average professional salary for the top 4 leagues is above £37,000 substantially. Do you understand? Per annum.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, it's not like, oh, these poor players are only earning, you know, like £1,000 a week or something. No, they're not. They're paid astronomical fees, astronomical wages. So I understand your logic in that, but you're talking about an industry that is, you can't relate, you know, you just cannot relate to, like my cousin, you know, she has a PhD and 2 masters. She came to the States for a few years. So there's a baseball player called Alex Rodriguez, A-Rod for short, and he got the first $100 million contract. And I calculated based on my cousin's salary that it would take A-Rod 3 at-bats to earn what my cousin earned in a year. So that's like 1 game, less than 1 game.
Okay, just bringing it back to Cucurella quickly.
But you understand, yeah.
Yeah.
So for him personally, individually, I think we did overpay for him. But in 2-3 years' time, when he's still under contract for us, we'll be saying the same thing about him that we did for Kante. Look, 30 million is nothing. So in 3-4 years' time, what will it be? You'll see the same position going for 70-80 million probably. So it's going to be a bargain. Over the test of time, you know, those prices, based on what they've been going through the roof lately, the last 10 years or so, that, yeah, you can say we probably didn't overpay. But right now, I believe we did.
All right, Roger, can you address this one again so we can call it a day? It's that if you guys have time, I want to go help my boy prepare for school. I don't know if you can handle it for a few more, like 30 more minutes while I'm out. Is that something you can do?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, go ahead. You finish. Address this question on the screen. We're not going to talk about any other player. I'll just bring up, maybe if you want to talk about Koulibaly's performance since his arrival, that's fine. But can you address this question here?
Yeah, so it says the problem with Chelsea is that we have too many small, non-physical attackers who get bullied off over and over.
Yeah, address it. Roger, just quickly address it. Share the opinions of other panelists there. I'll be watching again. I'll help highlight the screen. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. No, I get that. I don't think we get. Okay, so Ziyech gets bullied off the ball, and Pulisic. Sorry, Coach Chris, but he's out-muscled out the ball. Yes, I think I observe that week in, week out. But I don't think the same can be said for other players. Like Mount is not muscled off the ball. In fact, he's quite gregarious in the way that he bullies people, you know, shoulder barges and so forth. No, I don't think we have a fragile, apart from the 2 aforementioned players. I don't know whether the rest of the panel will agree with me or not, but I don't think
I don't think so, because when you look at Man City, are they really that physical?
No, exactly.
Yeah, so
like David Silva.
yeah, exactly. It's not
the other Silva. You have Foden. They're very slight players.
It's not about physicality. It's about we don't have technical players. We have a lot of.
Well, we do have some technical players.
Yeah,
Havertz
the only technical player we have is Pulisic and Ziyech.
And what about Havertz? Havertz is very technical. His first touch is sublime.
Yeah, what I mean by technical, I don't mean just first touch. I mean, if you watch the way Foden can rest the ball, you watch the way Gundogan or Westcott to even a kid like Gavi or Pedri, the way they just, you know, even Musiala, the way they just move the ball. We don't have players like that. The only player dynamic and technical player that we have is Pulisic. I thought Sterling was like that, but I haven't watched him for.
No, I could have told that.
So
He's
we have a lot of players that are good. They just like they're good at doing simple stuff. Even Harvard, he'll get the ball, he won't beat his man, he'll just pass the ball back, he'll just build that play. But there's no injection of pace. There is no drop off the shoulder. There's nothing like that. The only one that does it is Pulisic. At least he tried to do it, but I think we need players like that more than that
but my observation with Pulisic is, have a look. He's muscled off the ball. He's barged off the ball. Shoulder barge and so forth. And then what does he do? Instead of chasing back and trying to either compensate for being deprived from the ball, being dispossessed, he throws his arms up in the air and just like, throws a hissy fit and basically just starts to walk back slowly. And he does this time and time again. This is his trademark move whenever he's dispossessed. And it sends a negative connotation. And I've noticed that. He's a very skillful player and he's very talented, and I'm ever since that hamstring pull, he's never been the same. I think we can safely assume that. Yeah, in that FA Cup final, he's never been the same. I don't want to talk about what's going on with the social media with his father, etc. I don't believe that's a factor whatsoever. But is he unhappy? Yeah, you can definitely see that because he shows his. How shall I put this? He shows how disenchanted he feels. He feels very, very much. He looks like he doesn't want to be here.
Yeah, but you can see his mood when he plays for his country. He's like
he's different completely. Yeah, because he's a patriotic person, which most Americans are.
To play for us, he put in some good performance. I think he got to a point where he just like, even if I play well, I'm not gonna play the next game. So
and you know what? That he's got a valid point there. He does, because listen, even though he hasn't been playing well as of late, but let's be honest. If you see a person, and I'm not being disrespectful, but Sterling has really been stinking up the joint since he's arrived. And if you see someone that is playing in your position and you're thinking, wow, he is not playing to a standard which we should, adhere to. And yet I'm sitting on a bench and I can't even get more than 10, 15 minutes. And don't forget, he's coming on when there's only 5-10 minutes left.
Yeah.
For the most part, inherently. So
remember in the dead rubber game like that.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I understand his frustration. There's a valid point to that. But having said that, then when you do have the chance to start or do have the chance to put minutes on and you get dispossessed, then you know what? You hustle back. You try to dispossess your opponent, to overcome for your error. But he doesn't. He throws a hissy fit and, he sulks. That's not showing professionalism. That's showing a sign of immaturity. That's what I'm actually saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah.
Listen, I would like him to stay and I would like him to return to his form. He's a very talented player. Listen, we see him when he plays for America, the US, and it shows that, don't forget. So in the UK that there was, I'm trying to think who was talking about it on a British channel. They were saying that if you play for, let's say, your national team and you are not under any pressure to say, oh my gosh, if I mess up today, then I won't start tomorrow. That puts psychological pressure on you. But he knows that he will start each and every time for the US. So he has that safety net. But for Chelsea, he doesn't have that, and that can affect your game. And I think that's what we're seeing. I think that's quite an accurate observation.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Yes, because in the national team, he's the man. He's the man.
Yeah, he's the big fish for sure.
But
he's
when
the big kahuna.
Yeah, you ask him to be a wing back.
Yeah. Yes. So I think it's how he's being used, perhaps. And or it's the fact that there's been a chopping change.
I think he's one of those. I think he wants to feel important. I think
and it could be ego. He wants to be pampered, maybe. Because let's face it, he's the Michael Jordan in America. So maybe he's, as they say, drinking the Kool-Aid. You know, no, I'm serious. I don't know. You know, I like him. I really do. I value him and I rate him. But having said that, he needs to conversely.
The thing is, I don't understand this. We can literally play Sterling, Mount, Pulisic in the same team. I don't. This
Sterling, Mount, Pulisic. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
same team. Yeah.
Sterling needs to be sat down, and I don't know. I don't know what to say about him because
I think we just have to realize the same thing as me, my frustration with Graham Potter. I just have to realize that these two individuals will always be here, regardless. Because with Potter is not going anywhere because Boyle is going to double down. It's not going to.
Do you really think he's going to double down?
Yes, I think he will. Unless the situation becomes so untenable, then yes. But for the time being, yeah, it will be.
Yeah, I understand what Liam's just said there. Yeah, I get it. You know, that's a valid point. Yeah, I mean, if the market bears that, then so be it.
Mount, one of the reasons we made top one, the Frank Lampard.
Yeah, once the reason we qualified for group stages and won the Champions League with Tuchel, he deserved any amount. I mean, you know, they are overpaid, though. You know, seriously overpaid.
We are for the position that we're in, for the club that we're in. We're paying Premiership winning side salary to players that I think they've won the Champions League, but even
listen, under Tuchel, you know, some say that he's a cup coach, you know, a cup competition coach, you know, not a league coach. Because you look at Conte, and he did very poorly in the cup competition, especially domestically. But what did he do in the league? He did very well for us. Now you can say conversely that what has Tuchel done? Yes, he got us top four, okay, but that's only because realistically, Arsenal and Tottenham choked last year. You must admit, you know. But having said that, we got to 6 consecutive finals, you know, domestic and what's it called, European. So, and we won 3 of them, and we lost 2 by what? By penalties and 1 by a worldie. So, you know. This isn't a bad squad. As much as you keep on saying it is or think it is, listen, you don't get bad overnight unless it's age and injuries. And you have to understand this is primarily the same squad for the last 2 years, where we've advanced to finals. We played 63 games last year, you know, and you know, I think it's still a very good squad. I think
so. There's no excuse then.
No, it's you know, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, now you must admit though, losing Rudiger. Have you been watching Rudiger play in the World Cup?
Yeah,
he's amazing. He is right now. I love Koulibaly, so please don't misinterpret what I'm about to say. But he has not played to the level of Rudiger has been. You know, but it's early days though. It's very early. I believe he will reach that quality because he's a quality player, you know. But Rudiger, you know, you lose Rudiger and we're a different team, you know. We just have been. It's simple as that. And it's going to take time to form a new team because you've lost, you know, 3 or 4 starters basically, you know. And one of the starters, like Aspie, is no longer a starter because his legs have gone, you know. So, you know, and then we lost a great Timo. So I don't know.
I'm gonna go watch the World Cup now.
Oh, is it starting now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do the Morocco.
Actually, who you gonna watch?
Is a dead rubber. I know. Well, Morocco need to win. I think the Belgium-Croatia one is probably the more interesting.
Yes, I'm going to watch that one probably too.
Yeah.
And then Germany plays tonight, right?
Yeah. Costa Rica.
So what do you think then? You think what? Who do you think we're going to get this transfer window? Very briefly.
I like the idea of signing that young kid from Brazil. I like signings like that like out of the blue we sign a good player, so that's good. And then We definitely need a midfielder. That Alvarez guy. No, please, no.
Do you think we could get him this
No, he's
window?
not
I don't think so.
at all. He's not good at all. He's a waste of money.
Just quickly, guys. Again, as just go ahead with the conversation. Whenever you want to leave, you leave. As long as Liam Lane is still in the chat and Steve Charles is still in the chat, I'm fine. And if they want to leave, they'll let me know. But if you leave, it will continue. The people will be seeing the update screen. We've seen the transfer update screen and everything up there to keep people engaged until I shut it out.
I think we're both going to be leaving now, Coach, if that's okay.
Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah, okay. Let's just call it a day now, man.
Sure. Thank you.
Since the game is started. No, more thanks to you guys and more thanks to Liam Lane. Again, he's a brother that I haven't met, but I appreciate him so much. So thank you to you. Thank you to Rodrigo for finding the time to join. Thank you to my brother Tebago. I think he's gone too. Thank you to Steve Chelsea. I'll try and reach out as soon as possible. Thank you to Fahim. Thank you to Keshon. Thank you to Francis Ombajo, my Niger brother. Thank you to everyone who's joined the show. And if you haven't, please do take a second to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. See you guys tomorrow for. Thank you also to Brooklyn Rain. Thank you to every other person. If I missed your name, apologies. See you guys tomorrow for another Blue Morning show. I'm back now, so we're going to be hosting until we get our groove back fully. And if I need the break, I'll let you know. So, Roger, thank you so much. And maybe I'll give you access so that easily, even if I move out, you can always shut down whenever you don't. I trust you that much, brother. So thank you so much, guys. I hope to see you guys tomorrow for another Blue Morning show. God bless us all, and bye.